Hello guys, this is Joana Saahirah. Hi everyone. Welcome to this new Juju live session about one of the most interesting and polemic subjects in the field of Egyptian dance. May that be inside of the Baladi Awadi style or in any other sub-style, let's call it, inside Egyptian dance. That is sensuality and sexual energy in the dance. Okay, now as you know, I've been doing a few live sessions around the theme of the Baladi Awadi, and sensuality and the sexual energy are particularly connected to this style. So this is why I decided to answer questions from dancers from all over the world. I have selected a few. Throughout the years in my career, I have received, as you can imagine, questions about practically everything, from the most interesting to the most silly to the most absurd to the most fascinating. And sensuality is perhaps that subject that keeps coming back to the table in the mind of dancers, but also in the mind of the public, which is not directly involved with Egyptian dance. As we all know, sensuality and sexuality, and not necessarily in a good way, are usually very tightly connected with Egyptian dance in the mind of the collective, right? So I'm not only speaking about dancers, students, teachers, people who are directly involved with the dance. I'm talking about regular folks who have nothing to do with Egyptian dance. The first thing they think about when you tell them you do Egyptian dance or belly dance is, oh, a kind of exotic striptease or something, right? Okay, before I clarify a few important points that I think will be useful for everyone who is interested in Egyptian dance, let me tell you a bit about myself and a bit about a gift I have for you at the end of this live session. So for the ones who don't know me, I'm a world-renowned Oriental dancer, teacher, choreographer, author, and I'm also the creator of the pioneering online dance platforms, Joana Saahirah's World and Joana Saahirah's Online Dance School, delivering authentic Egyptian dance, personal discovery, and empowerment. I started my career in Cairo, where I lived and performed for a long time, and then I've worked around the world, all over the globe, sharing the authentic, the beautiful, the soulful Egyptian dance. And one of the prejudices I found the most, as I have already introduced, is the question of sensuality and sexuality and how we deal with these realities inside Egyptian dance, okay? Now, let me clarify something before I answer the questions I have here for you. And of course, you're invited to share your questions right here live with me if you have some. Sensuality and sexual energy are not negative per se. They are part of our human nature, okay? So sexual energy is life energy. Sexual energy is the energy that makes us wake up in the morning, is the energy that gives us strength to rise up after we fall. It's the energy that allows us to create, not only to babies, human babies, but to everything. Even if you're not aware of, your sexual energy is guiding you and pulling you through in ways that you probably will never imagine, you know, because then again, energy is not palpable. So most of us will not feel it. Most of us will not be aware of it because it's not visible. It is not something you can touch. Okay, but Egyptian dance works with energy. It works with the invisible as much as it works with the physical and visible. So if you want to get into Egyptian dance and really understand all the dimensions that surround it, start to get familiar with the invisible, with energy. Not only sexual energy, emotional energy, mental energy. So our bodies are made of energy, condensed energy, okay? This is why you can see me, because it's condensed. If you look at my body under the microscope, you will see that at the end I'm energy, condensed energy, but still energy. So sexual energy is nothing but life force, is nothing but that fire that allows me to grab this cup of coffee right here and taste it and feel this pleasure with it, okay? If it wasn't for our sexual energy, we would not be alive. That's as simple and plain as it is. Now, sensuality is very different from seduction. And this is where most of us get it wrong in relation to Egyptian dance. We think that Egyptian dance, and by we I mean collectively, the group, tends to think that Egyptian dance is about seduction, which is very different from sensuality. So seduction entails a target. Seduction is you trying to affect someone, a person or a group of people. You're using this dance or any other dance to seduce, to attract, to catch, to call the attention of someone. That's seduction. Sensuality has nothing to do with the other. It has everything to do with you. So although we're all free, guys, I'm not a moralist, okay? And I think you can use whatever you want for whatever you want. Who am I to tell you, don't use Egyptian dance to seduce someone? I mean, I'm not the owner of the universe. Use it for whatever you want. I cannot stop you. But Egyptian dance is not about seduction. It's about sensuality. It's about feeling good in your own skin. It's about taking pleasure from the small stuff. It's about taking pleasure from a movement. It's about taking pleasure from your breath. This is sensuality. It's being grateful and in love with existence and being able to extract juice and joy from everything that you do, including dance. Okay? So what makes a sensual dancer? It's not the clothing, it's not the skimpy poses or the exotic porno flick positions. No. What makes it sensual, what makes a sensual dancer is the amount of pleasure and freedom and joy this dancer is able to extract from her dance. It's about a presence of gratitude and fierceness and enthusiasm that tells you that person is fully present in the moment and enjoying herself fully, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, without saying, I'm sorry for being here. So that's what sensuality really is. Now, if you want to use Egyptian dance to seduce, it's up to you. You know, I have had students coming to me, even in Egypt, Egyptian women, telling me, I want to learn from you because I want to dance for my husband. Okay, immediately I tell them, I'm not the girl for you, I'm not the teacher for you, you know, because this is not what I do. The way I teach Egyptian dance goes into a very different direction, you see. But if you want to learn from me and then use it as you wish, who am I to tell you don't do it? You know, you're free to do whatever you want with the dance. I cannot stop you. But I have to inform you, Egyptian dance is not about seduction. It has been made about seduction for so many reasons we're not going to go into right now because that's a very long subject. It is about sensuality, okay? And it is about claiming your sexual energy in a healthy, natural, uncomplicated way and using it to enjoy more, for more creativity, for more fierceness, for more ideas, for more life, okay? But we'll get there as I answer the questions I have here. You will understand it better, for sure, okay? Then again, guys, feel welcome to share your questions if you are watching me right now. So I'm gonna start with one of the last questions I received actually, and then I'm gonna go backwards. Madeline wants to know about my experience with dancing my sexual energy. How present is it in my performances? Do I feel it more with Baladi over other forms? Okay, so these are several questions. My experience with dancing my sexual energy. Here it is. I don't have a specific experience dancing my sexual energy. I have an experience dancing, period. And that includes my sexual energy, all right? So, of course, Egyptian dance is particularly connected with the Kundalini, okay? The Indian culture calls it Kundalini. The energy, the energetic flow that goes from the top the bottom of your column, of your spine, until your seventh chakra, this serpent, okay? That starts with your lowest chakra, which is the first chakra, okay? So Egyptian dance, and the Baladi Awadi in particular, activates very intensely the energy of the first and second chakras, or centers of energy, okay? Located in your hips, in your womb, in your perineum, in that area where our sexual organs are. So obviously we're talking about a dance, especially in the Baladi Awadi, which is so focused on hips and womb, that is really moving the energies of first and second chakras, which are, amongst other things, related to the sexual energy. But when I dance, I don't think about it. I don't think I'm moving sexual energy or emotional energy, because it's all connected. I am just moving freely, period. No prejudices, no limitations, no taboos, and no stopping myself when I'm enjoying myself physically. And why is it so enjoyable? And why is it so magnetic and sensual? Because a lot of the physical movements we do in Egyptian dance, particularly in the hips area and womb, but not only, they are very pleasurable to make. It is that simple. These are not painful movements. So let's go to classical ballet, guys, so that you understand my point. I grew up with classical ballet, okay? At 5 years old, I was already doing classical ballet as a little girl. And I do remember growing up in the discipline of the classical and modern ballet, all right? And a lot of it had to do with pain. You could not master a movement if you didn't suffer. When you transitioned from dancing in demi-pointe to pointe, that's those pointing shoes, you bleeded from your feet. I had fingernails falling from my feet. I'm not even kidding you. So there is a lot of pain associated with classical ballet. At the other spectrum, at the opposite spectrum, you have Egyptian dance, where there is no pain. You can dance until you die with pleasure, with easiness. The movements are not against nature, as many of the movements in classical ballet are. Okay? Classical ballet is so much about going against nature and conquering gravity. Egyptian dance does not want to conquer gravity. It goes with gravity. It works with nature. It is natural movement. So there is a lot of pleasure and fluidity and easiness and an organic feeling to the movement of Egyptian dance, and that is extremely sensual. Now, do I ever think, oh, I'm projecting sexual energy or I'm activating sexual energy? No, because first of all, as I mentioned, it's all energy and it's all connected. So the sexual energy is connected with the emotional energy, with the physical, with the spiritual, with the mental energy. Dancers are not just bodies. We are human beings, multidimensional human beings, okay? So we're working with our mind, our ideas, our intelligence. We're working with our emotional luggage. What I feel, my experiences, what hurts emotionally, what feels good emotionally. We are working with our soul, knowingly or not. If you're not connected to your ego and if you allow the music to take you and to guide you, you're gonna connect to your soul. So dancers are not physical creatures, they are human creatures. And that includes a variety of dimensions within our energetic spectrum, including the sexual energy, okay? So it's not like you have to think about it or you have to activate it. The only thing it takes to activate it is to move, and this is why Egyptian dance can be so healing. And this is why you can awaken your sensuality through the art of Egyptian dance. Make no mistake, because the movements, specifically in the areas where we work, inside the Baladi Awadi, hips and womb and all that central area of first and second, sometimes third chakra, centers of energy, of course, all of this is going to awaken your pleasure and awaken those energetic centers that are connected with sexuality. Now, the more we experience it, the more we talk about it naturally, the less we will feed the elephant in the room. What is the elephant in the room? Oh, if I want to be a respectful Oriental dancer, I will not be sensual. I will erase sexual movements or sensual movements. I will not have pleasure. Actually, I had this conversation with Mahmoud Reda years ago. While I was studying and working with Mahmoud, I was telling him, you know, Mahmoud, what is this all about? We were just talking. Me and Mahmoud, we talked about everything. Everything. Okay? Cannot imagine. Everything. So I would tell him, Mahmoud, why is this so stubborn? This association between Egyptian dance and seduction. And he was telling me, and in this we disagreed, because some of the movements are sexually suggestive. I think, to whom? And of course, to different cultures, different gestures and movements will mean different things. But the big question is, as a whole, as a community, as a group, as human beings, when are we going to be comfortable with our sexuality? When are we going to be comfortable with pleasure and with our own body, especially women? When? When? If not now, when? So, as far as I see it, there are no forbidden movements. There are no sexy movements or unsexy movements. Your dance is sensual for as long as you enjoy yourself, truly, with or without seduction. And mind you, when you are a professional Oriental dancer, the goal should never be to seduce someone. That is not a service you're doing to yourself or to your dance, okay? This is just the perpetuation of a very old prejudice that serves and honors no one and nobody. So the goal should always be, at least on a professional level, and this is just my opinion, of course, to present sensuality and sexual energy in all its sacredness and glory, as opposed to using the dance as a seduction tool, which is really not why it was created. Okay? Hi, Nikki. Nikki's saying connecting to the body and soul through movement, delicious freedom and connection. Exactly. You're describing sensuality. But this is not the concept of sensuality most of us have, as you know. You know, this is the big problem. It starts with our concept of sensuality, right? So we have different issues here. First, the association most people make between Egyptian dance and seduction, which is very erroneous and not necessarily the reality of most professional Oriental dancers, okay? Second, our concept of sensuality, very distorted, very limited, very unclear. If you ask women, I'm not even talking about men because that's another chapter, but if you ask women, what is sensuality? Most women will not know how to answer that. They will not know what is sensuality, or some will be guilty or ashamed of even talking about it. They feel a little bit naughty or wrong just admitting they may be sensual. You know, so it's very important that women, dancers and non-dancers, go forward and say, you know what, I am sensual because I'm alive and I appreciate it and I love being alive, even if life is not perfect, and it's not. I enjoy going into my garden. Nikki, I know you have a garden. I've seen your pictures. You go into your garden, you breathe this fresh air, right? You smell a little flower, beautiful new flower in your garden. That's sensuality. That's you appreciating what life has to offer. That's sensuality. And it is the mindset that Egyptian dance invites us to have. To enjoy the breath, to enjoy the music, to enjoy the movement, to enjoy the sensations our body is providing as we move through the music, as we move through life. You see? Now, how present is sexual energy in my performances? Madeline, also, it is present as much as my emotional energy. I have a little blur. Yeah. Emotional energy, as much as my mental energy, as much as my soulful, spiritual energy. It is present in everything that I do because I'm alive. And thank God I don't have a blocked set of chakras. So what happens is that very often you will find women who have blocked their energy of the first and second chakra. So their sexual energy is blocked. It's not flowing for many reasons. It can be due to trauma, very often sexual trauma, sexual abuse. It can be because they were told they could not be sensual, they could not own that part of their of themselves. It can be because they grew up in a culture that does not allow them to even touch their hips or their womb because it's wrong, because it's dirty. There are many reasons that may take a woman to disconnect from her sexual energy, many reasons, and I have seen it again and again and again. And then again, this is where Egyptian dance, if properly taught, can be so healing, because it reawakens that energy in a beautiful, healthy, natural, loving, transformational way. And I cannot tell you how much it has changed me as well. Okay, because I am not special, I am not a hero. Okay, so like most women, when I started with Egyptian dance, I was not that sensual. I was not connected with my sexual energy. I was not aware of all this beautiful juiciness that is in my body. This awareness came with the practice of Egyptian dance, and it's one of the reasons why I love it so much. It's one of the reasons why I tell dancers it can really change you and change your life, because I have experienced it. Okay, now do I feel the sexual energy more in the Baladi Awadi style? And the answer is yes. A big, fat, juicy yes. And then again, probably many teachers will hate me for saying this, because people are so afraid of speaking about these things, you know? It's really like, don't speak about sexuality around Egyptian dance. Don't speak about sensuality. No, why? Speak. But speak correctly and speak intelligently. Okay, so that we don't keep feeding the wrong ideas and the distortions that have been surrounding this dance for so long. Okay, so yes, in the Baladi Awadi we do have a specific focus or a specific intensity, if you like, around the sexual energy. Then again, why? Because the Baladi Awadi is activating your womb. It's activating in a very intense, fierce, focused way the womb and the hips area. And it is also very muscular. In a good Baladi Awadi, you have a lot of tiny muscle movements around the hips and the womb, which will obviously activate those centers of energy. Remember, the physical is connected with the energetic. When we move a certain muscle, we're not just moving physical muscle. We're moving emotions and energy and mind and soul, because everything is connected. So there is a muscle called the psoas muscle. It's called psoas. It's pronounced psoas. P-S-O-A-S. Psoas. And this is an internal muscle that is particularly activated in the standard vocabulary for a good Baladi Awadi. And that is called, if you believe it, the muscle of the soul. When you activate the psoas muscle, that particular muscle, it's almost like touching a string of your soul. Tack. And at the same time, immense physical pleasure. Because then again, contrary to what we've been told, sexuality and sensuality are not the opposite of soulfulness. Okay? They are not opposites. They are not contradictory. In order to be more soulful, you don't have to deny your physical body or to deny the sensual pleasures. They can work together, and they do work together if you clean up your head. And if you redefine certain concepts that are keeping you smaller and sadder and less interesting and less alive than you could actually be. Okay? Now, is sensuality something I have to erase in order to be respected as a dancer? Again, I think I've already answered this question, sort of, and I'll go back to the conversations I had with Mahmoud Reda about this, because he had a very different point of view about this subject than the one I have. So in the work of the Reda troupe, guys, now a side note, in folklore, you will see that a lot of the more oriental round movements, including shimmies, hip shimmies, were either erased or softened. Okay, this is interesting, and I know it from the mouth of the creator, okay, from Mahmoud Reda himself. So there was a conscious effort to soften the more sensual sides of Raqs al-Sharqi. And this was an option, of course. I think it was a very intelligent, diplomatic option Mahmoud Reda did, something I deeply respect, of course. He's the creator of his own style. He had a vision, and he knew how he wanted portrayed. Now, myself, I'm talking about myself, I wouldn't erase a thing from Raqs al-Sharqi. I wouldn't soften it up, because I'm not afraid of judgment, or I'm not afraid of criticism, and I'm not afraid of being misunderstood. Misunderstand me as much as you like. You know, artists are here to shake the waters. I don't think artists are here to be diplomatic. You know, and I don't think artists are here to do what the audience is expecting or what the audience will approve of. So for me, I own all the vocabulary of Raqs al-Sharqi as it really is. The juiciest parts, the most dry parts, the parts that are so openly sensual, and the parts that are not so openly sensual. I'm not cutting anything, and I'm not smoothing anything, and I am not editing it. Not in this sense, no. I do believe that sensuality and the redefinition of our relationship with sensuality is one of the gifts Egyptian dance has to offer to the world. Let me repeat that. I believe that the redefinition of sensuality, a new but also very ancient concept of sensuality and sacred sexuality, is one of the biggest gifts Egyptian dance has to offer to the world. And I know what I'm saying now will sound strange to a lot of people. In a few years, you will see it repeated by a lot. As if I had never said it, okay? So a lot of stuff that I say, people say, oh, Joana, she's so weird. And then 5 years, 10 years from that point, they're repeating what I said 10 years ago, as if it is something new. No, it is not new. It's very ancient, okay? So here we go. Sensuality will not make you less or more respectful. What makes you a respectful Oriental dancer is being a respectful person, period. So if you present yourself professionally on stage, you have to portray, you have to carry yourself like a queen, not like a servant. And that includes not using your dance to seduce, not using your dance to attract or to provoke someone. That is beneath you, and it is beneath the art of Raqs al-Sharqi. But then again, this is just my opinion, okay? Don't kill me for it. Now, is it appropriate to have pleasure while I'm dancing? I'm just reading you several questions. Is it appropriate to have pleasure while I'm dancing? And I have seen dancers, my students in my private coaching programs, in my work around the world, at Joana Saahirah's online dance school, I have seen it everywhere. When we're doing a certain movement and they're starting to get to that point where they're so in the zone, and it's feeling so good, and they're enjoying themselves, and it's feeling so great, they stop. Something in their brain tells them this is not right. You cannot feel that good in your own skin. You're doing something wrong. Stop. You're being a bad girl. You're being a dirty girl. That is wrong. I have observed it again and again and again. So, although it is not only appropriate to feel pleasure, it is mandatory to feel pleasure when you do Egyptian dance, I would also add, watch out for the voices in your head that tell you that if you enjoy yourself and your body, you're doing something wrong. Watch out for the voices in your head that make you stop on your tracks when you're enjoying yourself too much. Too much. What is it, enjoying yourself too much? What does that even mean? Is that too much? What is too much? No, it is appropriate, and I would also go as far as I can, telling you that Egyptian dance cannot be fully experienced if you're not enjoying yourself. And this is something from Egyptian culture. Egyptians are the best people I've ever met at celebrating life. You can have people, with so many difficulties and troubles and pain and sadness, they will still know how to celebrate. They will still know how to sit in a coffee shop, get into a cup of ahwa, of coffee, or tea, and say, Allah, this feels good. Il shay haluda. What a beautiful cup of tea. Allah, it feels good. Look at the sun. Beautiful sun. Alhamdulillah, thank God. This appreciation for life, this ability to celebrate and to take pleasure of the small things. This is something that comes from Egyptian culture. I really love it, as you can feel it. And if you don't have that joy, if you don't have that pleasure in your dance, you're not really doing Egyptian dance. You're not, I know, I'm a little fundamentalist, but it is true. And then again, this is why Egyptian dance can be so transformative, guys. Look, it is what I often say, it really depends on the level you're learning Egyptian dance. If you're just learning a choreography, you follow a teacher, this teacher is gonna drop a choreography on your lap and leave, and you're fabulous, and he's a star or she's a star, everyone is okay. Okay, that is an option, okay? But that will not give you the transformative sides, the transformative potential of Egyptian dance, because Egyptian dance is so much more than a choreography that you memorize. So much more. Okay, and this is why in my platform I develop, aside from authentic Egyptian dance, personal discovery and empowerment, because this is an art form that can really change the way you see things and change the way you deal with yourself and then with others as a consequence. So pleasure is not only appropriate, it is mandatory if you're doing Egyptian dance. Okay, pleasure in your own skin, for yourself. It's for yourself, it's not for anyone else, it's for yourself. And your body is yours. So enjoy it while you have it. Be grateful. It will not last forever, So, another question I find very cute, I'm gonna say that, cute, okay, is how do I create sensual movements in my dance? I love this. My question is, what is a sensual movement, right? I mean, depending on the culture we're talking about, different movements will have a different impact or connotation. So if you are, for instance, in an African tribal culture, you may know that there is a lot of footwork and a lot of hip work and a lot of involvement with the lower body. So tribal African dances are so hip oriented and pelvis oriented. It's pelvic movements. So the impact of certain movements for that kind of culture, if you're talking about pelvis and hips, it's not going to be the same as the impact those same movements in those body parts will have in USA or in China or in Spain or in France, because different cultures have different relationships with the body. They perceive the body, especially the body of women, in a different way, and they interpret movements in a different way, all right? But I do not believe there are specific sensual movements and movements that are not sensual. I think there is movement. And if you do it with pleasure and enjoyment for yourself, it's going to be sensual. Now, I've already mentioned in the Baladi Awadi, we are particularly activating the pelvic area, the womb, the hips. And those are the physical areas of the body that are hosting the energetic centers or chakras. This is a concept of Indian culture, the name chakra, okay, but all it means is center of energy, that are connected with sexual energy. So of course, every time you work on a Baladi Awadi, for instance, you are moving specifically your sexual energy. It doesn't mean the movements are sexual. The movements are movements. Movement is movement, okay? And there is no wrong parts of the body. At least I don't see it that way. But because we're activating those particular parts of the body, yes, there is a bigger stir, if you like, in your sexual energy and in the awakening of your sensuality. And for me, this is really, really beautiful and positive. Now, do I have to hide my sexual energy? Should I behave as if I had none so others can respect me? All right, this is a similar question to one question that I have already answered. And then again, some dancers will disagree with me. I've already commented about all the discussions I had with my dearest Mahmoud Reda. On this point, he totally disagreed with me. We agreed on many things and we disagreed on many things. In here, we disagreed. He was really careful, as I already told you, to soften whatever movement could be perceived as sensual. I am not seeing things that way. So I see Egyptian dance as a freedom language. So there is no wrong movement, there is no wrong part of the body, there is no wrong feeling, there is no wrong emotion, as long as my intention is pure. So what makes the dance and the dancer disrespectful or low, of a lower vibrancy, of a lower frequency, is not so much the dance itself or the movements, it's the intention you put in the movements, okay? So I can do the same movement in very different ways. If I do the same movement, enjoying myself for myself in connection to the music, it may be beautiful. If I do it with the goal, with the intention of seducing someone, it's gonna look and feel very differently. Now, I don't even know if it is respectful or disrespectful. I think that in professional terms, if you use dance to seduce, then again, it is disrespectful. This is my opinion. Why? Because then again, this is not what Egyptian dance is inviting you to do. And when you are presenting yourself as a professional, you have the responsibility of representing the dance itself. I don't care what you do in the privacy of your bedroom. That's up to you, right? It's all up to us. You're not gonna change the world there, right? I mean, you're not gonna impact anything in the privacy of your room. But if you are in public presenting yourself as a professional dancer, I do think you have to reconsider, how am I presenting myself? How am I presenting the dance I claim to love? And am I perpetuating this idea that Egyptian dance is a kind of sexual, striptease, exotic, sexual, soft, porno, striptease? You know what I'm talking about. Let's not be hypocritical, okay? You know, there is this image attached to Egyptian dance. And professional dancers have the obligation, the responsibility to clean that image, because that image comes from somewhere. It doesn't come from the air. It's not because everyone is ignorant. No, people have built that image from somewhere. So someone, somewhere must be doing it. Okay? So it's very important to differentiate, I think, also the private use you make of the dance, right? If I decide to use Egyptian dance to dance for my husband, I'm not hurting anyone, and I'm not hurting the dance, and it's a private choice. But if I present myself as a professional and I decide to seduce someone in the audience, or to play the sexy kitten who is there to eat the man in the audience, I am harming the reputation of my dance. I'm not just doing something in the privacy of my room. I am harming Egyptian dance. And I am harming my reputation as a dancer, knowingly or not. So it's always an option, right? How do you present yourself? And how do you present your dance? Sensuality? Absolutely. Claiming your sexual energy, your emotional energy, your mental energy, and be fully alive? Absolutely. But using it to seduce someone in a professional realm, I don't think so. I don't see how that is going to add something positive to yourself or to the dance, okay? But then again, this is a question that each one of us has to make, okay? And nobody's your owner. I mean, nobody will stop you on your tracks if you are seducing the hell out of you, out of someone while you're dancing. I mean, nobody will stop you, you know? But you have to be aware that there are consequences, that's all, okay? Now, why is Egyptian dance so deeply associated with seduction? And this is a very big question. Why is it so deeply associated with seduction? Guys, the ones who are watching live, tell me, why do you think there is this deep old association between Egyptian dance and seduction? Where does it come from? Tell me what you think. Tell me what you know. I'm just going to tell you a few facts, because this is a very big subject, the subject for an entire course actually, okay? So, first there are historical reasons. This is the first thing. So, as far as we know, Egyptian dance was not originally created to seduce anyone, of course. It was initially created as a ritual of fertility, as a feminine ritual, as a kind of religious practice actually. In Morocco, for instance, it is still used by women in labor and by women who are supporting a woman in labor to help the woman give birth more easily. So it is a dance that has origins related with fertility and birth and creation. Now, it has evolved throughout time and being distorted in so many ways. From the moment we start to hear about Egyptian Oriental dancers in Egypt, from the 18th, 19th century, we start to read descriptions, mostly of foreigners, rich foreigners, English, French, that traveled to Egypt and either saw certain dances and then fantasized and expanded and distorted what they saw, or imagined. Some descriptions we have were imagined. They were not even a witness, the account of a show. They were product of the imagination of those travelers. If you go back to Orientalist painting, and there are gorgeous paintings from the Orientalist style, you will see a lot of fantasies about how women danced in the harem, in the area of the home that was selected, that was prescribed to the women, how they wore or not wore clothes at home. You have representations of women in the hammam, in the Turkish bath, which also exists in Egypt in its own version, and in Morocco. The Turkish bath, it's an Arab thing, okay? So you find a lot of references, not only in relation to Egyptian dance, to Oriental dance, to the Arab woman, that are so filled with fantasies and imagination. And of course, coming from an Europe which was so Puritan, right? So Puritan. We're talking about Queen Victoria in England and the occupation of Egypt by the English. And Queen Victoria was a symbol of morality and restraint and dryness. So we are the inheritors of a history that represented Oriental dancers and the Oriental woman in a very peculiar way, to say the least, okay? Then we also have accounts of the Hawazi, which were the public gypsy dancers, as opposed to the Awelen. We have accounts of them joining ventures. What do I mean? Dancing, but also working as prostitutes on the side. So we cannot know for sure how accurate this information is, but it seems they did combine, perhaps not all of them, but many of them, they did combine the dance with the craft, let's call it this way, of prostitution. So that also attached a little bit of sexual striptease fame to the dance, okay? the accounts of travelers, Hawazi reputation, and throughout time, the truth is, the market of Oriental dance in Cairo, in Egypt, as I have known it with my own eyes. So I was not there in the 19th century as far as I know. Maybe I was in another incarnation, but I was there recently until a few years ago. And I can tell you it is a highly corrupted market. It is a market where in order to thrive, you're either very strong dancer, and you give a lot of money to into the houses where you're performing, which was always my strategy. I knew that I was not gonna go out with managers. I knew I was not gonna go out with producers, with the impresarios. I knew I was not gonna prostitute myself or sell my soul to the devil in exchange for opportunities. And I lost a lot of work and opportunities, even in cinema, because of that. I don't regret, I'm not complaining, it's a choice. I always said I'm gonna do this my way. I'm not gonna play the game. Because I'm a dancer, I'm an artist, and a fanana. Yani in Arabic, it's fanana, artist. I am not a prostitute, I am an artist. So I had to find a strategy of creating power for myself. My power was a full house every night, period. So against that, nobody could argue. So I was giving money to win to the houses that hired me because they knew I was the best at what I did, period. And I was bringing money in, period. End of conversation. But the reality is that even today, the field of Egyptian dance in Cairo, in Egypt, is highly corrupted, is highly prostituted. And unless you are very smart and very strong and you find a way around the mafia, you will see yourself involved in this game of going out with I don't know whom to get I don't know what, and perpetuating this association between Egyptian dance and seduction and lewdness. It is true. And I know so many dancers don't like me to say this, but it is true. And we don't evolve from ignoring the truth. We evolve by exposing what's not right and fixing it. Okay? Nikki says that it's claiming and owning your energy for yourself. Societal conditioning suggests that a woman's pleasure and sexuality is for others, not herself. Absolutely. And you know, Nikki, that is an entire other aspect of sensuality and why women feel so afraid of owning their own pleasure. Because as you say, generally speaking, it's considered that our bodies and our pleasure is supposed to serve others, not ourselves. And what Egyptian dance brings of revolutionary, although ancient, it's still revolutionary, is the reality that our bodies are ours to enjoy. Our sexuality and pleasure are ours to enjoy. If we want to share it with others, we choose to do so, when we choose to do so. But our bodies are not here to serve someone. Our bodies are not here to give pleasure to someone, to entice or enchant someone. And this is a prejudice. It is an idea that molds the behavior of most women I know, dancers and non-dancers. We feel like we're not valued or seen if we're not sexually appealing to men. Even if you're not aware of it, this is what happens in the head of most women. And this is why older women are so disrespected and discarded. Because suddenly their sexual capital is not on the table anymore. So they're worthless. This is the idea that surrounds us. This is why women are so afraid of growing older. This is why men are so confident growing older and they feel, oh, I'm like the wine. Every year that passes, I'm better with age. And women, they hide their age. They have a lot of anxiety and fear around age because in the back of their mind, they know that if they lose their sexual capital, they become invisible. And this is something that Egyptian dance really brings to the table in such a beautiful way because it redefines so many things, including the way we value ourselves. I am not defined by my sexual appeal. I am not defined by how I look. I am not defined by my ability to give pleasure to others. My body is mine, and I am a full, thriving human being, fully alive, enjoying myself right now. And this is the commandment of Egyptian dance. You may want to take it, and I hope you do, or you may want to remain unaware and following the sheep. It's your choice. It's your choice. Okay, now, should I expose my body while I'm dancing in order to be sensual? This is a big thing, right? Because so many dancers have always asked me, okay, Joana, what about the clothing? What should I show of my body when I'm dancing, right? Is that where sensuality resides? In the kind of clothing you wear. If you're showing your legs, if you're showing your décolletage, your, how you say it, your chest, if you're showing your arms, if you're showing your midriff, is that what makes you sensual? Does that affect the way you feel about yourself? I'm going to speak for myself. So for me, as a professional dancer, I've always took care to wear clothing that would represent the style I was dancing. So if I was doing Saidi, my clothing would have to fit Saidi. If I was doing a classical piece, the clothing would have to fit that. If I was doing modern Shaabi, my clothing would have to fit that. So if I was doing Nubian, I would have to wear a Nubian outfit and so forth, okay? Also, I always cared for comfort. So for me, sexy dance clothing is the one that allows me to move freely and painlessly. Okay, because I can assure you there are gorgeous bedlas for Oriental dance that are so painful to wear. I wore a few of them. You know, very tight bras that push your breasts up but hurt you like hell and hurt you on the neck. At some point I had wounds on my neck because of course I was performing every day and changing bedla all the time. Oh, my earring flew. And I had wounds here on my neck from the bedla. So I think that sexiness or sensuality comes from freedom. I have to feel painless. I have to feel good. So it's not a question of how much skin you're showing. It's a question of wearing the correct clothing for the correct style you're representing, and wearing clothing that gives you freedom of movement, so allows you to move efficiently. And of course, I'm talking about a professional dimension, okay? If you're not on a professional dimension, you wear whatever you like. You wear your pajamas and enjoy yourself, you know, why bother? But if you are on a professional dimension, it's so much about efficiency, at least for me. And it's not so much about how much skin you're showing. Sometimes you're totally covered from head to toe and you are so sensual, you're so sexy. Because you're enjoying yourself, because of your presence, because of how much pleasure and joy and gratitude and presence you're able to bring to the table. It's not about the clothing. It's definitely not about the clothing, okay? So you don't need to expose your body in order to be sensual. When you're dancing, choose clothing that allows you to dance freely and joyfully and comfortably and safely without losing a bra or something, as it happens to me. It happens so many times. I lost bras on stage, I lost skirts on stage, I lost a lot of stuff on stage, and you know, you have to have humor about it. And most of all, remember, what defines the quality of your dance is so much the intention that you bring to the table. If my intention is to present a piece of art, is to move my audience, is to really experience dance from my heart, from my soul, it will come through, independently of what I'm wearing, okay? If it's showing a little bit more leg or less leg, if I'm wearing a full galabeya, as we usually do in a Baladi Awadi, if I'm wearing shorts or anything else, I don't feel like you need to expose your body in order to be sensual. I don't think that's what makes the trick. Okay? So I hope I answered that question. Now, last question that I have written down, and by the way, take this opportunity to share your questions, guys. Once more, I'm here, so make the best out of it. Last question in relation to the Baladi Awadi specifically. Is there a specific part of the Baladi Awadi where you're asked to be sexier or more sensual? I think I know where this question is coming from. So in a Baladi Awadi, we have a structure, we have different stages, okay, or different phases of a journey. I call it from the womb to the world. And yes, there are certain units, certain parts of the Baladi Awadi where your sensuality, your sexual energy will be particularly activated, okay? Starting from the beginning, from the moment you start to connect with the music, with the accordion, okay? Because we usually, we open the Awadi with the accordion. The moment you start to listen to the accordion and allow it to drag you, allow it to move you, you are already entering into sensual mode. Even if you're not moving yet, you don't need to be moving to be in a sensual mode, right? If I'm here with you and I take a deep breath, okay, I just stop. I feel the breeze coming from my window, literally. There is a breeze coming from my window. And I close my eyes for a second. I put my hands on my chest. And I say, I'm going to enjoy a big, deep breath. Ah, it feels good. This is a moment of sensuality. And this is where the Baladi Awadi start. Tuning into the music, tuning into the accordion invitation. And of course, as you dive into the taksim, the solo with the accordion, you're gonna get even further into this sensual mode. Why? Because the accordion is going to invite you to go into your womb. And there is no book of rules for this, guys. You will not find it written anywhere. Okay? Just yesterday, we had a beautiful webinar with Cassandra Shore, a beautiful teacher that I was hoping to host for a long time. And we were talking about musicality, right? And she was telling us something that I have said a million times, which is there are no books telling you, when you hear this instrument, this is what you do. When you hear that instrument, this is the movement you do. It's nonsense, okay? It's nonsense. Of course, there are certain sounds that will, in principle, generally invite you to do certain things, but it's not a rule. It's not a rule, and it depends on how the music is being played. It depends on your mood. It depends on your sensibility, on your creativity. You can either read the sound in an obvious way or not so obvious way. But generally speaking, when you listen to the accordion, how does it feel? Let me know, guys, in the comments. How does it feel when you listen to the accordion? Do you feel like running all over the place? Da di da di da da di da di da da la la di da li la la lam dum ba 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 da di da da da. Do you feel like going all over the place? Traveling steps and jumping and opening your arms and being big and loud? I don't think so. I don't think so. You can try it. What the accordion does is it calls you inside. And it calls you inside your womb. And it invites you to move those little muscles and to explore your hips and to explore that more muscular internal part of your body, which is, as I already mentioned, a very sensual process to go through. The stretching of muscles feel good. This is why yoga and Pilates, for instance, are so relaxing because we are stretching muscles and joints and bones. And you have the same processes happening when you do Egyptian dance. We're always contracting or stretching, uplifting or releasing. And these are pleasurable movements. These are pleasurable processes. Okay? Just like in yoga, I may stretch my chest and feel good. In Egyptian dance, we do the same. We go up, we lift and drop it. And I have a double pleasure because I'm stretching, ooh, that feels good. But then I'm releasing, which is another kind of physical pleasure. And every side of Egyptian dance technique is based on contraction and release, and stretching and release, and lifting and dropping, which are things that feel good. They are pleasurable. They're not only healthy, they feel good. So yes, there are specific parts of the Baladi Awadi where you will feel particularly good, where you will get the most pleasure out of the movement, absolutely. And that is always a question of knowing the structure of the Awadi and what is asked of you in each part of the units, but also your intention to take pleasure from the dance. If you're there to perform and to do a lot of effort but have no fun, if you don't even believe you deserve to have fun, let's put it this way, if you believe you don't deserve to have pleasure, and it's crazy, man, a lot of dancers believe they don't deserve to have pleasure, so they don't search for it. Of course, the Baladi Awadi will die. If you believe you don't deserve to have pleasure, you will not get into the sensuality of it. You will not get into the flow of it. Your sexual energy will remain as stuck as it has always been. It will not move. It will not circulate. So your creativity will not circulate as well, because sexual energy is creative energy. And I mean creative not only in the sense of creating a human baby. I mean creative in general terms. Usually, a woman with a stuck sexual energy, a stale energy, sexual energy, is a woman who's struggling with creativity. Is a woman who does not feel she's particularly creative, or who does not feel she can manifest things, because creativity is not a mental process. Creativity is making things happen. So when I'm disconnected from my first and second chakras, from my sexual energy, when I don't believe I deserve to activate and to experience those particular areas of my life, of my body, of my energetic fingerprint, what happens is not that I don't tip into my sensuality. What happens is way worse than that, is that I believe I'm not creative. I'm unable to manifest my dreams. Perhaps I have great ideas, but I cannot put them into practice. I don't materialize my projects. They don't go forward. That's a blocked sexual energy. What else is a symptom of a blocked sexual energy? Depression, lack of enthusiasm, lack of drive, lack of focus, not knowing where you want to go, the lack of fire to go for where you want to go and to make stuff happen. That fierce martial fierceness, fire, I go around the fierceness and fire. That's sexual energy. That is sexual energy. So if you have it blocked, you will probably be someone who knows a lot, who is very talented, who is very capable, who has a lot of ideas, who has a lot of projects, a lot of what ifs. I could, but you never do it. Or you start doing it, but you don't finish it. Because creativity, it's manifestation. In this material world, where we don't live on the moon yet, not yet, we don't live on Mars yet. So let's not play around with words. Creativity is not in your head. Oh, I'm very creative. I imagine a great dance piece that will never happen. You're not being creative, you're being delusional. You're being delusional. You think, you know, I usually say in our head, we are all geniuses. Inside our head, lying down on the couch, we are all geniuses. Oh, I could do this. I could do that. If it was you, I would show you what I would do. Oh, but then you don't do a thing. Usually, you hear a lot of people saying, I could, if it was me, I would do it this way. If I would do it that way, I could do that. I could go there. I could, but then they don't do it. And you know what's that? It's a lack of healthy, strong, activated sexual energy. Because sexual energy, as I mentioned, from the first and second chakras, they are connected with survival, they are connected with manifestation, they are connected with our material reality in this material world. So it is our ability to manifest in the material world, not in the mental world. I think I can write an amazing book. Oh my God, it's a bestseller. It's in my head. Where is the book? It's in your head? So it is an idea. It is not a book. It is not a reality. It is not a creation. Guys, not yet. In order to take it out from your head, and when I speak about a book, I could speak about anything. A relationship, a professional project, a personal project, a dance piece, anything, any dream. Inside your head, you're still not being creative. You had an idea. Perhaps it was a creative idea. But creativity is creating it, materializing it, and for that you need sexual energy. Another symptom of an underdeveloped or stuck sexual energy is your inability to appreciate life. You want something more harmful than that? Let's forget about sensuality. Let's put sensuality aside. If you don't activate your sexual energy, which is something we do in the Baladi Awadi like fiercely, we do it with absolute awareness and focus. But if you don't do it, you don't take pleasure in life. You have a hard time appreciating simple things like food, like water, like sleep, like breathing, like moving, like meditating, like hugging someone you love, like whatever you're doing. There is no pleasure in your life. There is no joy. You see those complainers, people who complain a lot, they're always grumpy, always complaining, always in the place of the victim, everything is a drag. That is a lack of sexual energy. It is a lack of gratitude. It is a lack of connection with the bountiness of life, which can only be experienced if your sexual energy is activated in a healthy, conscious way. I do hope this session was helpful. I believe it is, if you listen to it carefully, of course. And I am going to invite you to download an ebook I have prepared for my students a couple of weeks ago. It's an ebook called The 5 Tips to Awaken Your Sensuality. I'm going to share the link for you to claim your free ebook, either in the comments to this recording if you're watching this on Facebook, or in the description box below this video if you're gonna watch this replay on YouTube. Claim your free ebook, you're gonna love it. And I'm also gonna invite you to join my new online course, How to Dance a Baladi Awadi. We're about to start. We're starting in the beginning of July. This will be a 2-month transformational journey. We're going to activate our sexual energy big time and beautifully and powerfully, but that's not the only thing we're gonna do. It's gonna be 2 months of a total immersion in the style of the Baladi Awadi, the music, the culture behind it, and the personal transformations this particular style can bring to you, to your dance, and to your life. If I tell you this is the best thing I've ever done, many of you will say, yeah, Joana, I heard you say that before, but it is true. At Joana Saahirah's Online Dance School, I try to upgrade. Every time I do a new course, I ask myself and my students, how can I do it better? How can I do it better? Literally, practically. This is sexual energy, by the way. How can I make it better? More intense, more useful, more transformative. How can I help you transform? How can I bring more sensuality, more self-confidence? more presence, more pleasure to your life? I ask myself that, and I ask my students that. And so every time I create a new course at the school, it comes better than the last one. At least that's my intention, of course. Now, we have a warranty, a guarantee policy, so you can join us and try. You can stay with us for 15 days, do the introduction to the course and the entire module 1, including the entire live class, the first live class with me. And if you don't feel this is the best thing you've ever done, you can just ask for a refund and we give it to you, no questions asked. Okay, so the information about this course is going to be shared with you in the link that you're going to find in the comments. Then again, if you're watching this on Facebook and if you're watching this on YouTube, you're gonna see it in the description box below this video. Okay, I have a few more gifts for you if you're watching this on YouTube. Check them all in the description box below this video, and of course subscribe to our newsletter and subscribe to our channel. And for the ones who have joined me on Facebook, thank you for being here. Keep your questions coming. Very soon I'm going to announce another very special and different live session here on Facebook. So stay put and take care of yourselves, okay? And enjoy your dance and your life as if there was no tomorrow, okay? Because there isn't. I love you guys. See you soon.